This is the Kazdoy Closet. I'm Kazdoy. This is not my closet. We're shooting al fresco today. Because of the Thanksgiving holiday, our empty nest is no longer empty, at least temporarily. But I want to talk today about going to the movie theater, because I finally went back. Like a lot of you, most of you, if not all of you, you didn't go to the theater because of COVID. You didn't want to get infected. And then when the theaters opened up again, maybe you didn't want to wear a mask. I certainly didn't, and then also be nervous about infection, even though the seats are spaced apart from each other. And sometimes I would go and I would eat candy just as an excuse, so I didn't have to wear my mask through the whole film and have my glasses fog up from the mask. So I finally went back starting in July, and I'm shooting this right after Thanksgiving. So was it worth going back to the theater to see some movies? Let's find out. I'm going to go in order of what films I saw in the theater when I finally went back, starting in July. I'm filming this the day after Thanksgiving. The first film I saw was Pig. That's the film starring Nicolas Cage. I'm as big a Nicolas Cage fan as anybody else. This one, really, I felt like it was one of those films where nothing really happens. Now, I may have been in the wrong mood for it, so maybe I need to see it again. And I just found out today it is streaming on Hulu. So if you want to check out Pig, you can check it out there. I might watch it again, but as it is right now, I'm only going to give it 2.5 turds. The second film I saw in the theater is kind of an outlier. It was a revival showing of Rashomon. That's the classic Akira Kurosawa film. If you haven't seen Rashomon, you need to see it as soon as possible. Rent it, buy it, whatever you need to do to see Rashomon. It's great, influential. I was a little disappointed because it was one of those Fathom events, but I think they were just showing a Blu-ray of this film. But it still looked fine and still loved it, of course. So 5 codgers for that one. The third film I saw was The Green Knight. And I really was looking forward to this one. People were comparing it to the film Excalibur, which I used to use when I taught my mythology class. But boy, this one left me cold. I didn't know what was going on. It was not involving at all. There's no character development whatsoever. Beautiful to look at, but really disappointing. The director, David Lowery, I did enjoy his previous film, or one of his previous films, called A Ghost Story. That's streaming. You can check that one out. It's an interesting film, kind of slow, but interesting. But this one, The Green Knight, 1 turd. The fourth film I saw in the theater was Jungle Cruise. I was in the mood for something really mindless. I just had some dental work done. I was not in a good mood. My head was not in a good space. I needed some escape. I didn't want to sit around and think about my dental problems. So I went to see Jungle Cruise, and yeah, it was mindless. It was entertaining to a point, and then of course it just got to be overkill, like most of those films end up being. So Jungle Cruise, 2.5 turds. The fifth film I saw, I should have known better, because it's a Marvel film, and I told myself I'm done with Marvel for the most part. I know I'm not their target audience. I'm 65 years old, but boy, I'm so done with those films. But this one looked different, and it looked like it had some kung fu and some martial arts elements to it, and some Asian elements, which I like. So I went to see ShangChi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And it started off really promising. I thought, this is really good, especially for a Marvel film. It's very different, very cool. And then it kind of just went off the rails, just like most Marvel films do, with a lot of CGI and just on and on and on until it's the point where I don't care anymore. So Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings, I'm going to give another 2.5 turds. The sixth film I saw in the theater was another outlier. It was a little film called Citizen Kane, and that was another Fathom event. And boy, that just, it'd been a while since I'd seen it. I must have seen it 4 or 5 times already, but not on a big screen in a long time. And it still blew me away with its creativity, the plot construction, the look of it, the acting, everything. Some of it's a little dated, but hey, that's blasphemy. It's Citizen Kane, and so it's so impressive compared to most of the junk they make nowadays. That's why I'm using the codger emoji, by the way, because I'm sounding like an old man. They don't make them the way they used to. But Citizen Kane, obviously, 5 codgers. The seventh film I saw in the theater was a franchise that I love. I have every film in the franchise except one, and this was No Time to Die, the latest James Bond film. The one film I don't have in my collection is the one nobody has, Quantum of Solace. So, but No Time to Die starts off fine. It's got that Bond flavor to it. It's taking some chances with the Bond franchise, but then it goes on and on and on. Like a lot of these films, it's 2.5 hours long, maybe a little bit longer. And what the villain, played by Rami Malek, was up to, I'm not even sure. And I've talked to 3 other people who say they don't know what he was up to either. So, No Time to Die, I'll give it 3 turds. The 8th film I saw in the theater was the new version of Dune. Now this director, I really liked some of his previous work. Arrival, liked it. Sicario, liked it. Prisoners, liked it. They're all in my collection. I had just watched the David Lynch version of Dune, which I actually liked because I thought it was interesting. In fact, I think David Lynch's Dune was more interesting than this new version of Dune, because there were so many long takes of people staring at each other in slow motion. The wind is blowing their hair back, and these long, laborious shots of spaceships or whatever they are taking off, and there's no character development at all. And it's such a good idea. I think maybe they stretched it out because there's going to be a part 2. But boy, I was really disappointed. I was hyped up for it. In fact, it was showing on HBO, which I have, and I said, I'm going to go to the theater because everybody says go to the theater and see that, and it's impressive looking and everything. But boy, it left me cold. And I thought David Lynch's film, for all its flaws, and it's such a mess, it's a much more interesting film. So Dune, the new one, I'm giving 2 turds. Last film I saw in the theater was just a couple of days ago. It was the documentary Kurt Vonnegut, Unstuck in Time. Now, I'm a Kurt Vonnegut fan. In fact, while I was watching it, I realized I must have read 8 of this guy's books. That's probably a record for me as far as reading a bunch of books by a single author. So I was really into him. Kurt Vonnegut sort of taught me that you can write a novel and you can be funny, you can be satirical, you can be self-deprecating, you can put yourself in the novel and take yourself back out. You can have chapters as short as 1 sentence or as long as you want to. He really freed the form up, and it was just very entertaining and made a lot of good points too along the way. So I really like this documentary. If you're a fan of Kurt Vonnegut, it's a must-see. If you can find it, it played for like a week. I'm sure it's going to show up somewhere. The director, Robert Whitey, he's got some real comedic bona fides. He works on Curb Your Enthusiasm. I've seen him interview Albert Brooks on some on Blu-rays before. He did a documentary about the Marx Brothers. So he was a good guy to make this film. In fact, it was a 40-year labor of love for him to make that, and he became very, very close friends with Kurt Vonnegut in the process. So Kurt Vonnegut, Unstuck in Time, 4 codgers. So because I've been so disappointed with what I've seen in the theater lately, it's going to take me a bit to get back there. Now, that film Licorice Pizza's coming out, takes place in the San Fernando Valley. I'm a Valley boy, born and raised, so I'm probably going to see that one next. Mrs. Kazdoy Closet wants to see the film Belfast, so maybe we'll see that too. But I don't want to be disappointed again and sit in that theater, and I don't want to wear the mask because it's just a drag. So we'll see what happens, and especially considering I have so much stuff in the Kazdoy Closet that I've watched recently that is superior. Mainly older stuff, mainly foreign films. That's the codger me coming out again, and I can watch it in the comfort of my own house and do whatever I want. So we'll see what happens, but so far that's been my experience going back to the theater. And what was your experience? Feel free to leave a comment down here. Tell me what you think. Leave a thumbs up. Don't leave a thumbs down. Subscribe would be great. Share this with your friends and neighbors. Otherwise, hope you like this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.